think he's just covered the one. Ronnie had a long, hard look. Well, if he can get through to it, there's a possibility he could get on the black, and I think he can pot it, John.
Yes, the safety shot was a little too thin, Dennis. He did try to get that cue ball over more towards the brown, but this is a good opportunity for Mark Selby.
To stay on the black, he'd have to be so precise. Interesting to see if he attempts that. Well, he's been rather fortunate there because he missed the pot by a long way, and he's done well to leave things fairly safe. He could quite easily have put Ronnie right in amongst them there. You could see a little movement in the cue there when he delivered it, but rather fortunate. You can expect a little bit of tension, the opening frame of a final.
Yes, Mark himself, on the couple of occasions he's been into the studio this week, Dennis, has said that he's found it very difficult to settle down early on in the matches. Yesterday with John Higgins in his semi-final, the first session was very scrappy, but he said later on, once he knocked a few balls in the second session of that match, it was business as usual.
Mind you, don't want to let a player like this get a couple of frames ahead of you. This
is what I said earlier about the importance of this opening session. You know, against anybody you want a good start, but particularly against Ronnie O'Sullivan, because if he starts getting 2 or 3 frames ahead, it's like trying to stop a runaway train.
He studied this pot into the middle pocket. It's a difficult one. It's a risky one. He's thought for well over a minute. And it's there. The black was hampering him. He thought for a minute and 20 seconds, and he certainly made the right choice.
Deserves everything he gets off this break for that shot.
Seven. Eight.
I always say it's about focus with Ronnie, and he did look very focused as he came into the arena. Got a terrific round of applause, but he didn't acknowledge too much. He just walked straight to his seat, and even that fluke when Mark acknowledged it, no expression from Ronnie, so he looks to be really up for this.
14.
I suppose the £150,000 first prize will make you concentrate a bit.
That'll do it.
15.
I know a lot has been made about the new cue, but it's for people that don't play the game of snooker. It's not like a golf club or a tennis racket, just changing it. It's an extension of your right arm, and as Ken Doherty was saying, he's played with the same cue for 25 years. Most professionals use one cue throughout most of their career. It is remarkable to pick a cue up and play like this. It really is.
Yes, we've actually been sent an email from one of Ronnie's friends who said a couple of years ago he popped round to his house and he said, come on, we'll have a frame of snooker.
23.
And Ronnie didn't actually have his own cue. Picked one out of the rack. Soft tip, big fat horrible cue, he said, and had 136 break first shot. I think you might call it talent.
30. $31.
I think one of the two reds that are next to the pink is available. Yeah, it's definitely available. The one to the left certainly pots.
38.
There you see it.
39.
I think the very nature of this tournament suits Ronnie O'Sullivan, Dennis. He can come and play his match. And not too long a journey to go back home every day when he's finished playing. He's not like he's at the venue at Sheffield and stays there for 17 days. Sometimes Ronnie can lose a little bit of focus, but coming in and playing his match and going home for a few days after his first round
45.
has definitely suited him. And then he's been coming in just playing the one match every day. And I really do think this Masters is a tournament that's set up for him.
Well, he is going for his 4th win.
$46.
Just starting to get a little bit more difficult now to go on and clinch this opening frame.
53.
But it's a good start.
$54.
So it's an early liftoff for the Rocket. Mark Selby had the first chance, longish red, just cued across it.
61.
I think everyone thought he'd got away with it, but Ronnie picked that one out to the middle pocket after thinking for 1 minute and 20 seconds, and this is the result.
$62.
That was the miss, just cued across it slightly.
$68.
And that was the very difficult pot into the middle. Oh!
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
He's
68.
missed a sitter with his left hand. Okay. It's going to be very difficult. The difference is 56. But that red would have definitely finished this opening frame.
The other thing it does, Dennis, of course, is give Mark Selby a chance just to get more acclimatised to conditions in the table and knock a few balls round. Even if he doesn't manage to win the frame, he's getting a little bit of practice, which at the start of the match can be very important.
8.
I think he possibly just eased up the fact that he knew Mark needed a snooker, but I've seen frames won from this position on many a occasion. Had to get a high valued colour. It's going towards the corner pocket. This could be the end of frame.
9.
Black must go in.
$16.
2 4-point snookers required at the moment. Green's out of commission, but the yellow and brown are pretty well placed. Black's the other good ball. Blue and pink not easy to get snookers behind.
Mark Selby. 16.
Is a snooker. If he comes off the side cushion, got to be careful he doesn't go in off the red, depending on the contact he makes with it. You always want the colour close to a cushion, you know, about 12 inches away from the cushion makes it easier to attempt the snookers.
Had a look to see if that would cut in the middle pocket, decided it wouldn't, so hit the safety shot.
Ronnie will be a bit reluctant to bring the green into play. He'll want to keep it on the cushion. He could play the red onto the green and back up behind the black, but he doesn't want to move the green too far. And he hasn't. A double kiss has kept the green safe.
Yes, clever little shot that, Dennis, wasn't it? Knew full well he was going to get the double kiss on it and kept it on the ball cushion.
You can see that movement in Mark Selby's head there. It's just a mannerism he has. And he may have found the gap here. He might be able to pot this red. Had to play it with a touch aside. Now that's put the brown in a much better position for the possibility of getting in behind. Well, he's looked to see if he could cut it past the brown, but it's far too thin. Might be able to get close to a snooker here.
Yes, I think he's got a pretty good angle just to play the red up and down the table. I think he'll miss the green and drop the white in behind the brown. Just having a look there, Mark Selby, just to see if the green was in the way. And of course, then he's had a choice. He could play a screw shot and and get behind the brown, but it looks pretty much like if he does a plain ball, he could get up behind the brown. I played the little drag shot, which is another alternative.
It's pretty straightforward to get out of this. There's not enough room to go around the back of the red. He's come off the back cushion here. It would be very unlucky to go around the back of that red, so it's an easy escape. If the red had been slightly further away from the cushion, could quite easily have sneaked around the back of it. This is where you sit in your seat as far as Ronnie's concerned, and you're thinking, I should have just rolled that red in and we'd be halfway through the second frame.
Absolutely. You're thinking to yourself, you know, you don't get paid for overtime, and you've give yourself some in the opening frame, but got to concentrate on every shot. As you quite rightly said, Dennis, frames have been won from this position before.
Of course, the other thing that it does, you've got yourself into stroke, you've made the 68 break, you're very fluent. Now you've got to play quite a bit of tactical play, so just for that few minutes you lose your rhythm. You've got to start all over again. That's a smile there.
Certainly wasn't how he played it. Just be careful here with your cueing, Ronnie. Make sure you don't touch the green or anything silly like that.
just going back to after making a 68 break, then having to play quite a few safety shots. That's the difference between the great players, isn't it, John? They're able to do that. They can knock in a frame-winning break, and then they can have quite a long tactical battle as soon as they get the chance to produce the goods again.
Is he trying to stick on this and send the red up the table? That was always the problem. The red coming back and hitting the black. So this should be end of the first frame. Drop this one in. I'm sure there'll be a concession from Mark Selby.
1.
He won't bother about missing the pink.
Frame.
Mark Selby
Ronnie
stays in
OSullivan.
his seat. It's been a good start for the 3 times Masters champion. That earlier break of 68 paved the way for him, and he leads 1-0.
And here in the studio, Ken and Steve all settled in for the afternoon and indeed the evening, of course. When we look at the record between these two men, it is quite instructive, particularly over the last, 13 months effectively, because it was at the UK Championship in 2007. They met in the semi-finals. It took a maximum break in the last frame for Ronnie to get over the line. And then, Ken, we were discussing earlier about the Welsh Open final. That went down to a final frame decider, and there wasn't needle, but there was a little bit of controversy afterwards, wasn't there?
There was. Well, Ronnie, I think, was 8-5 up, and Mark Selby came back to beat him 9-8 in that final. And Ronnie, I think, in his post-match interview, said that he just felt bored. Like I said, Mark was playing so slow and so methodical that he got bored, like, in the end, and that's the way he can play sometimes. And I think it's very important for Mark in this match that, you know, he can't go toe-to-toe with Ronnie. I don't think anybody can, but what he can do is play a real tight game, and it can only beat him through playing methodical, as he would say himself, but also, you know, playing the art of good safety and very conservative snooker. He's not going to beat Ronnie in his breaks or break building. But he just has to stick to his own game and not worry about what Ronnie does.
Ironically, of course, that's what Mark said. He actually said, well, I can't beat Ronnie at his own game. I've got to play it my way.